The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Diversification on the EU market is not an easy task, and it needs modern skills that match modern development of the technological age. I'm pleased to tell you that USAID and the Georgian business leaders are working together to identify and build the skills of the workforce. By matching the skills demanded by businesses with workforce training, employees and businesses both win with higher value jobs and more productive, competitive businesses. This week, USAID launched the Business Leaders Council as part of its industry-led skills program. By working hand in hand with Georgia's private sector, USAID will ensure the private sector plays a leading role in steering the program so that it generates innovative solutions inspired by Georgia's private enterprises from growing economic sectors. And the Business Media Georgia Group will take an active part in all of this. Mariam Adamia attended the event, and now she will tell us more.
The Council of Business Leaders has been officially opened in Georgia. After several hours of discussion, business leaders from the priority sectors of the country's economy attended and discussed the critical needs of the sector and the course of business development. The Business Leaders Council itself was established in partnership with the USAID's new industry-led skills development program in partnership with the PMCG, and will inevitably become the business voice in the development of innovative skills development programs.
This event today joins together it's really a who's who of Georgia's private sector business leaders, some of the leaders of Georgia's biggest companies, as well as the biggest business associations, which our program has joined together to help guide us and to help bridge or close the gap between the skills and the qualifications that Georgia's young people have as they look for work, and the needs and the requirements that Georgia's private sector leaders have for their companies in terms of jobs.
It is noteworthy that the representatives of the private sector at the event spoke about the importance of private sector involvement in the development of skills needed for employment, which will further help job seekers in employment in the growing sectors of the economy. Often young people don't have information about promising or high-paid professions, therefore there is a big gap between the supply and demand of the labor market at specific professions.
This initiative also considers to gather business leaders to discuss, because the professional development is the most important issue for businesses in Georgia. The surveys that we usually regularly do with the Business Association of Georgia shows that around 92% of businesses struggle because of the lack of relevant workforce, which means that this is a really very huge number of the problems.
On the one hand, businesses are worried that they are not able to find qualified staff. On the other hand, young people say that there is a shortage of jobs in the market. The problem is actually on both sides. People find it hard to see that the choice is much wider than just law or economic majors. Therefore, the cooperation is aimed at developing the country's economy and resolving the imbalance that actually exists in the Georgian labor market. In addition, Council of Business Leaders also focused on the Russian-Ukraine conflict and its impact on Georgia.
The main problem is that unfortunately we have a post-COVID period, and during the post-COVID we were facing a lot of problems regarding utilization of medical services. Another problem was the impact of inflation on the service provision issues, that the development of the insurance business had unfortunately not very good progress. So that the claim reimbursement, the financial statements in this period unfortunately was not predicted as a good matter.
So the Business Leaders Council, held for the first time this week, will continue in the future to help the private sector identify obstacles to skill development. And so the first important steps have already been taken.
A very interesting initiative indeed. I will now give you a comprehensive follow-up on USAID and Georgian business joint efforts with Georgi Sagadze's interview, which was recorded in Forbes studio.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for visiting Forbes office.
Thank you for
Glad
inviting.
to have you here. Saba, let me start with you. We're talking about still newly established new program coming from USAID, which is Industry-Led Skills Development Program. Can you a bit evaluate more about the purpose of this program itself?
Yes, with pleasure. So, thank you for inviting once again.
Good to have you here.
Purpose of our program is to help development of the skills sector and vocational training sector in Georgia. We simply want, and our objective is to have supply at the labor market meeting demand at the labor market.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as demand is created by employers, by private sector, our priority is to have and to support and have private sector engaged in skills development actively and sustainably. So this is objective of our program, and we have as a main instrument, we have one of the main instruments. We have grants fund, which is 13 million US dollars.
Yeah.
At the same time, we have technical assistance available as well for our beneficiaries of our program. We have three components, and under these three components, we have different grant schemes. So component one is aimed at facilitating engagement of private sector, because we realize that skills development is not their core business for employers. This is something that is coming from the need. And we, with our support and our, let's say, funds, we are trying to reduce the risk which is connected to the engagement in the new field. Yeah. And this is the aim of the component one. And here we have relatively small grants with maximum amount per grant project, 30,000 US dollars, with contribution requirement from the grantee, which is 20%, including cash and in kind. And under component two, we are already talking about development, improvement if there is a need, and implementation of training programs. And we have two subcomponents, one dealing with short-term training courses, which meaning less duration, less than 6 months, and long-term more than 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. And we have, let's say, a grant scheme different from the component one, with maximum amount for first subcomponent 300,000 US dollars per project, and for the long-term programs 1.5 million US dollars per project from our side as our investment, and we require one-to-one contribution, again including cash and in kind. And under component three, in order to help inclusiveness and access of rural population and regional population to high quality skills development opportunities, we support replication of existing training programs in regions. And under region, we mean any location on the territory of Georgia except of 5 self-governing cities. At the same and the grant scheme is the following.
And this exemption is due to the special, elected city mayors, or why it's?
No, actually, we don't have any geographical limitation or sector limitation as a project.
As a project.
But specifically for component 3, in order to help.
Just for this component,
Yeah, just for this component, yes.
Okay, go on, yeah.
And for component 3, when we are talking about replication of existing training programs in rural area. Maximum amount per grant project is $500,000 US from our side. And contribution is the same like for component 2, 1-to-1, including cash and in kind. In general, as far as it's about economic development, so the main part of the economic development is business development, private sector development, right? And so talking to our businesses, and probably Goga will add more because they have huge experience in this field. Everybody is talking about lack of professional skills.
Yeah. Thank you for this alla verdi, as we say in Georgia. Taking to this divert. Basically, Goga, at the same time, I had a privilege to attend the establishment launching, let me say so, of the new established business council, where you present PMCG. Firstly, tell me a bit more about the partnership with the program, I mean PMCG and the program itself, and then some more questions will come.
Great, thank you for inviting me. In this case, PMCG supports the program in establishment and functioning of the Business Leaders Council. The program had a great idea to establish this consulting council where business leaders can contribute to the successful implementation of the program by recommending, participating in the program implementation in a way that they are observing, evaluating the program implementation, getting feedback from the program management team, and at the same time are bringing voice of the business into the program implementation. I mean that it was great that USAID and the group, which is SAPRA representing, decided to have a constant communication with businesses in the process of designing the program and implementing the program. And PMCG plays a role of a facilitator in the process and supporting the program in the process of bringing together business leaders, getting their voice into the program implementation, and addressing their concerns in a way that we will in total in this year conduct 4 meetings, and between the meetings we want to dig deeper into the questions, concerns, recommendations which were highlighted during the meetings, and then having different instruments in use. I mean, we want to invite different guest speakers, mainly from the state authorities, and also make this discussion between state authorities responsible for the education, business actors and educational institutions make the program work better. Because we and our colleagues saw this challenge that the business works differently, private sector works differently, and educational institutions are also unique entity. And so it's very important to help them to make their collaboration more efficient, and this council as a unit or as an institution should support to make this collaboration more efficient.
While mentioning digging in various directions, I think you already succeed in one of them while representing major trends of the labor market. What are the key findings due to the presentation you did through the first meeting of the Business Council?
So the main thing we're observing at the moment in Georgia is that after COVID crisis, I hope I'm right saying after crisis, because we are still in the crisis, but because
we just forgot.
We forgot that we had COVID crisis. We observe the situation, Georgi, that there are more people willing to work. The labor force is growing. There are more vacancies. There are more job opportunities. There are more businesses who want to hire. And not that we only think so. We have evaluated data from JobsG, main website for vacancies. We are conducting business surveys where we see, together with Business Association of Georgia, that whether businesses are willing to hire or not. And at the same time, we are using data from Georgian Statistics Office about the labor force participation rates. And we see there that actually everything suggests that the employment rate should decrease. But surprisingly, the opposite is happening. The unemployment rate is increasing. And one of the main reasons behind this is, in our opinion, the so-called skills mismatch. And that the people for whom businesses are looking for are not there. Or people with
They do exist or they are not?
They are, okay, people with specific skills businesses are looking for are not there. And
clear, yeah.
What I want to highlight is that surveying businesses, we observe that from businesses, as a source, I will use the latest BAG survey, BAG index survey. We see that from businesses who are saying that they have difficulties to make their business, more than 40% are saying that they lack skilled specialists or specialists. And what is very important to highlight here is that not only that they lack in all sectors, the results are almost same. And talking with businesses, we see that surprisingly, for instance, trade sector faces huge difficulties, not only to find people with skills, but to find people where not so high skills are required. Why? Because people from trade sector are moved because of various reasons, and we can discuss this further when if necessary, but they are leaving the sector, and there is obvious need for low-skilled people in service sector, in trade sector, and somehow educational sector and businesses by themselves have to address it. And I'm happy that within this program, as Saba already highlighted in detail, there are a lot of opportunities for every business representative companies to use this vehicle to address those challenges.
Saba, besides we are just in the beginning, I'm not talking about especially platform as a business leaders council. Now, program itself, it's just few months, it's been launched, and the action plan has been set up and things like that. That's a question both for you. Can we sort of evaluate just from the very beginning in 2022 in this another difficult year, let me say so, what should be the results of these joint efforts through this program, where you will definitely say that this was one of the most successful programs where all stakeholders were not just engaged, but all the KPIs or whatever aims and whatever plans were set up, they were all met successfully?
Of course, it's important for the program to meet all the all the targets set by indicators, and so we will be meeting these targets, and we have, let's say, some particular targets in terms of trained people, in terms of employment, and so on and so forth. But what I want to underline, and what could be, let's say, one of the important results of this program, it will be success stories about private sector engagement in
yeah, I got you.
in skills development field, which can be replicated in future. Successful engagement and sustainable engagement, because satisfied businesses are the best promoters of this engagement, and the success stories are the best promotion tools.
Can't agree more. I got you.
So, and at this end, another result that I would like to see is improved partnership between private sector and training providers, which is a challenge right now at this stage, and it requires quite significant, let's say, efforts to improve. But I hope that the program will make its contribution into this process, because it's very important. Right now, let's say, training providers, and especially colleges and businesses, they speak different language.
Yeah.
So,
but they have common understanding, I hope.
Which is a kind of barrier in to have successful partnership, which is very important, because it will be helping each other.
Yeah, thank you. Goga, please go ahead.
Georgi, I like and I'm happy that in Georgia finally our international partners, but also some of the state agencies, and not maybe majority of people living in Georgia, but big number of people understood that business sector is the sector which can move forward the country. And this is very important to understand, and this is very important to highlight everywhere. And why is for USAID, in my understanding, this program so important? Because there is a clear understanding that only strong business sector can make Georgia wealthier. And at the same time, I'm very happy to see that in educational sector there are certain changes. For instance, the establishment of vocational skills agency, which giving businesses the opportunity to contributing, or not only contribute, to leading the process in skills development. Because now the running changes are focused on increasing the role of business sector and business associations in developing new programs and supporting new kind of educational structures and educational programs. And I think that it's a perfect timing for this program now to, on the one hand, to make clear businesses that it's your time now. There's no more time of complaining and saying that this university is
time to act.
It's time to act. And at the same time, any financial incentive to act helps here a lot. And this program offers such kind of incentives, because for, let's say, every dollar you invest, you get $1 from the program additionally. And for me, and I agree with Saba, because I was intended to say the same, we need best practices, we need successful cases where concrete businesses can showcase that it's possible to collaborate with training providers. It's possible to act as skilled developers for their interest and of course for the interest of the whole economy, because nobody can guarantee now that if I educate you, you will stay forever in my company and you will move forward. And so I think that successful cases, I agree with Saba totally, and increased responsibility on the side of the business in this field of development of Georgia. This is for me very important.
Thank you so much for visiting us. It's just the beginning. I hope that you will join me in some few more conversations later on. Good luck to the Business Council, good luck to the program itself, and then all the best coming from Saba Sarashvili and Georgi Hristovanis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.